Hey guys, it's Stephanie here with the FlowerFanatic. So it's almost August 1st. I cannot believe that. It's summer, it's warm still, but in the next few months it's going to be fall. And fall is a great time to start planting some new flower beds, planting your landscape, putting plants in the ground, and then also getting flower beds ready for spring if you're going to plant in spring. Now that I'm anticipating fall, I thought it would be a great time to do this video to help you get prepared for fall, especially if you're a new gardener and wanting to create some new flower beds, or you're going to start designing your landscape. I wish I would have known these 4 things before I started gardening. I started about 7 years ago, almost 8 years ago, and I was a rookie. I didn't know anything. I didn't take these things into consideration, and they would have been super helpful. So I thought I would share them with you and kind of what I have learned throughout the years. So the first question I would suggest, I'm going to try to keep these as simple as possible, is ask yourself, what kind of gardener are you? How much maintenance do you want in your yard? If you don't mind being in your yard and working a lot, many hours, personally I love it. I could be out here for 6 hours a day if I could. So I don't care to have a lot of maintenance, but I also have 5 kids that can help me. Are you solo? Are you going to be doing it on your own? Are you super busy in the summer? Do you love vacationing, but in spring you don't mind to put a lot of work into it? These are things that you should ask yourself, because this will kind of determine what landscape you're going to have, what kind of plants you put in your yard. This is really helpful. So maybe just write a checklist of what kind of personality you are, what kind of gardener you are, and what you can realistically handle or not handle to keep your yard looking how you want it to look. Are you a perfectionist? You want it to look really tidy? Anyways, these are just simple little things you should ask yourself. So my second tip is to observe the sunlight that you have throughout your yard. Right here is a massive walnut tree. There's a honey locust and another big honey locust over there. So I don't observe my sunlight until these leaves start to come out, because that really affects how much sunlight I have in certain flower beds. So right here you can notice this area gets morning sun until about 11. That's not very much sunlight, and then it starts to get shaded from these trees for the rest of the day, and some sunlight will come in the late evening. For me, I planted hydrangeas here that like the shade in my hot climate. So I'm trying to give you an idea of how different your flower bed can vary from one to another just because of different factors like these trees. So if you come over here, this area just right next to this flower bed gets sunlight all day long. So right here I have my sun-loving flowers, and then right here more of my shade-loving flowers like the hostas, the hydrangeas, the bleeding hearts, the foxgloves in my climate because they don't like the heat. I also wanted to add that sunlight in the morning is very different than sunlight in the afternoon. So I have lilacs in a flower bed. I'm going to show you over here real quick. There's my lilac in this flower bed. You see these big old arbovitas? Because of those, the sun doesn't get on this flower bed until about 1 in the afternoon. But since it's that intense afternoon sun, the lilac can use a little bit less sunlight. Normally it wants about 6+ hours, but it only gets 4 hours here and does really well and blooms super good. I know it might be a little bit tedious to sit and look at your sunlight all day, but it's definitely worth it in the long run. The third thing I would ask yourself is, what kind of climate do you live in? Is it really humid? Are your summers a little bit more mild, cooler, or is it super hot and dry? Is it windy where you live? If it's really windy, if you put delphinium in your yard, you're going to need to stake them up, so that's a little higher maintenance. Silver foliage tends to resent humidity and likes it where I live, so like Helen von Steen lamb's ear, lavender, although they are coming out with some lavender that can handle the humidity a little bit better. So definitely learn about these things before you buy a plant and put it in the ground. So the last thing I would ask yourself is, what kind of soil type do you have? Is it clay, which means it's going to hold on to water a little bit more, it's more dense, it doesn't drain as well? Or is it sandy, which means it drains super well? Or is it loamy, the best of both worlds, kind of holds on to moisture but also drains well? So this is an interesting question, because there are plants that are more suited for clay type soils. They actually don't like the loamy soil. And if it's sandy, that means you're gonna have a drier spot. It's gonna drain really fast. You're gonna have to water more frequently. But to make your life a little bit easier, you'd wanna put plants in the sandy soil that are a little bit more drought tolerant. But if you have that clay type soil that holds onto moisture and doesn't drain very fast, you're gonna wanna put plants in there that are a little bit more tolerant of wet conditions. Here is my not so lovely flower bed. Anything I grow here just really struggles. So I've come to the conclusion, there is this massive willow tree. They love the water, they soak it all up. This area is constantly drying out. There are so many roots throughout, it's really root bound, so plants struggle here. So rather than trying to compete with these willows, I think I'm just gonna go ahead and brick this whole area, make it a nice little structure, put a natural pergola that goes around, and just put maybe a wisteria here that I think can handle this area. I could start tilling it every year, trying to break up some of those roots, but at the same time, this willow is not going anywhere. If I could cut this down, it would change things, but I think this area could benefit from a structure anyway. So my solution for flowers is I'm going to put a lot of potted containers. I think that will be really, really pretty. Okay, so now that you've asked yourself those 4 questions, what kind of gardener you are and the maintenance you want to put into it, you understand your sunlight, your soil type, and your climate, now you can start planting. This part is always the fun part, and I don't like to have limitations, so I experiment with all sorts of plants. I like a challenge. So I have plants of all sorts in my yard, some that are higher maintenance to my climate, like the foxglove, the delphiniums, the hydrangeas, and then I have really low maintenance ones like calamint, catmint, silver mound, artemisia, Helen von Steen lamb's ear, roses. Roses absolutely love it where I live, so I feel really lucky. I know I didn't have a lot of flowers to show today. I hope this video wasn't boring you guys to death. I thought these were just really important things to teach. So in my next few videos, I'm going to be highlighting some of those plants that are super low maintenance. They're thriving. I don't really have to do anything. They're tolerant of most soils, and they're just looking beautiful all summer long. Anyway, if you guys are interested in seeing some more videos, hit the subscribe button. Now that you know these things, you're gonna have a head start in your gardening experience. Comment down below with any questions you might have, and we'll talk to you later. Have a great day gardening. Bye.